Hello everyone and welcome to Experiment three's Safety Talk. Experiment 3 runs over 3 weeks, with the first 2 weeks focusing on the synthesis of your complexes. So you'll see there are 5 syntheses where were called experiments 3.1 through 3.5, and I've tried to allocate them as what they normally flow as. So you'll definitely be able to finish 3.1 and 3.2 in the first week, but you need to try and aim to do 3.3 in the first week as well. That will significantly reduce your workload in the second week, but it is also doable if you at least start with 3.3 to do it still to finalize it during your week 2, or even start with 3.3 and do all these 3 during the second week. So it is not that time constrained, but it is a good practice to try and do the first 3 in the first week, and then only have the 2 of them for the last week. During the third week, we do something called the writing retreat, which essentially means that you have written your report and you have a draft version, and you'll do a peer review of each other's work during that writing retreat session, and we will go through systematically, go through the reports with each other while um, someone works through each section, remind you that this needs to be there, check for this, check for spelling, and we peer review each other's work, allowing you the opportunity to enhance your marks, improve your work, and generally get a good mark for this experiment. So that's what this writing retreat is about. So you can plan for that by week 3, you need to have a draft of your report. And the draft of a report does not mean just some kind of half report. It means you've already written the report. It has just not been finalized and edited. It's a full report already. Everything that needs to be there is there. It might not just, there's just 1 or 2 things that you need to finalize or just check, and then somebody can peer review it properly. It doesn't help if you only have 1 or 2 pages, because then you also won't get anything out of the report writing. So please start from week 1 looking at the writing your report. Okay, and then of course we also have IR spectra. So our property measurement for this experiment is IR spectra, and the IR spectra are provided on the Google Drive link that is given in the practical guide at the way beginning. Moving on to some safety issues. Cobalt nitrate complexes are explosive materials, so they can be used as an ignition source, and they can also fume or start fuming once they come into contact with paper towels. So don't leave paper towels lying around in your fume hood or on the benches, and especially monitor that for experiment 3.1. When you're working with the hydrogen peroxide, always remember to add any oxidizing reagent slowly. Of course, not infinitely slowly, but just ensure that the reaction is not occurring too volatile, or at least too aggressively, meaning that you would like to have a reaction occurring quite quickly, but not so much that there's too much bubbling or boiling occurring in your reaction mixture. You'll also be working with concentrated acids and bases like hydrochloric acid and ammonia, which comes with their inherent dangers, which you need to take care of. And you know by now that the differences between reagent grade acetone and CP acetone. So please just remind yourself of that. And not that this is a direct safety matter, but it's important for waste disposal as well as some general things that you need to take note of. My first question is, how do we estimate and check for neutralization? Because we'll be working with concentrated acids and bases, we need to ask ourselves, what laboratory tools do we have, or materials, that we can use to check for neutralization before we dispose of waste, and to check that our reaction mixture is neutralized, because I think that, well, there is definitely a step where it says ensure that the reaction mixture is neutralized. For example, are you going to use your finger? Are you going to smell it? Are you going to use litmus paper? Are you going to use a pH strip? What are you going to use? What will work best? That is a question that you can answer for yourself. As well as, what type of filtration do we use when? And for that matter, what kind of filtration do we have? What options do we have? What is the best type of filtration, environmentally speaking, for what situation? How will you judge that? Um, and of course, when do you use which one? When do you use gravity filtration? When do you use vacuum filtration? Okay, vacuum filtration is the Bachner funnel. Um, when is which one important and when do you use which one? And the answer lies in actually what do you want to get from it, right? When do we want to solute and when do we want to filtrate? Um, so if you answer those questions for yourself, if you're unsure, you can always ask your demonstrators. All right. I think that is it for experiment 3. Thank you for the course. I'll see you in the writing retreat. And of course, as always in the lab, keep safe.